Okay, readers, so welcome back. We're going to have another reading workshop lesson today, but before we get into our lesson, we're going to actually first start off by reading a little bit of our next book in the series, Iris and Walter. And this book is titled Iris and Walter, the Sleepover. So again, we are going to get into our lesson in a little bit, but first I thought it would be sort of nice to switch things up a bit and start reading a little bit from our book. Ready? Iris and Walter, the Sleepover. Written by Alyssa Hayden Guest, illustrated by Christine Davenier. And again, I'm not sure if I'm reading their last names correctly, readers. If you know, please let me know exactly how to pronounce them, but I'm doing my very best. Ready? Iris and Walter, the Sleepover. Iris and Walter, the Sleepover. Written by Alyssa Hayden Guest, illustrated by Christine Davenier. Contents: Chapter 1, Big Plans. Chapter 2, Worries. Chapter 3, The Sleepover. Chapter 4, Home Sweet Home. Big Plans. Iris couldn't wait for Saturday. On Saturday, Iris was going to sleep over at her best friend Walter's house. It was all she could talk about. "It will be my first sleepover, Grandpa," said Iris. "How exciting," said Grandpa. "Walter and I are going to put on a puppet show," Iris told her mother. "What fun," said Iris's mother. "And we're going to ride Rain in our pajamas," Iris told her father. "You don't say," said Iris's father. "And we're going to sleep out on Walter's porch and stay up very, very late," Iris told Baby Rose. "That's what big kids do on sleepovers, Rosie." "Okay, my big girl, hop into bed," said Iris's mother. Iris's mother read a story. Grandpa sang the girls a song. Iris's father tucked them in. "Good night, little Rosie," he said. "Good night, my Iris," he said. Then Iris's mother turned on the nightlight and closed the door. Chapter 2, Worries. The next day at school, Iris told her friends about the sleepover. "Sleepovers are fun," said Armando. "You can stay up all night," said Lulu. "And have pillow fights," said Jenny. "Wow," said Iris and Walter. Benny didn't say a word. Readers, I'm wondering if Benny has something that makes him a little bit nervous about sleepovers. He's the only one not chiming in and saying something fun about them, so I wonder if maybe he's going to say something to Iris or Walter that might make them feel a little bit more nervous about their plans. I don't know. Well, there he is. It looks like he's whispering something to Iris, so let's find out if maybe my prediction came true. But after lunch, Benny whispered, "I don't like sleepovers." "You don't?" asked Iris. "No, I like to sleep in my own room, in my own bed," said Benny. "One time I went to sleep over at my cousin's house, but what?" asked Iris. I wonder when that ended up. Sorry, I was getting way too nervous, readers. I'm thinking about all the possible things that Benny could say to Iris that might make him not like sleepovers. Maybe he had a nightmare. Maybe something bad happened where he couldn't get his parents to help him out. Maybe he even did something that was embarrassing. I don't know. There's so many possibilities. "I got really homesick," said Benny. "Why?" asked Iris. "Because," said Benny, "I miss my pillow." Well, that's a little surprising, but I guess everyone has something that they're attached to. I remember, readers, that one time when I was really, really little, like when I was 6 years old, I went to visit my family in Mexico for the first time, and my mom didn't come with me. My big brother did. And I was having so much fun, but then all of a sudden, we went to a party in the evening, and I got really homesick, just like Benny, and I started crying and was wishing for my mom to come home, and I was telling my aunt and uncle over there that I really wanted to just go home. And I had been having fun the whole time just before then, but I did get really homesick. So I am kind of understanding how Benny's feeling, but I don't have that same connection that he has about feeling homesick because of a pillow. I just really miss my mom. But I'm wondering if maybe Benny's going to say something else to Iris that might kind of explain his feelings a little bit better. Ready? "Because," said Benny, "I miss my pillow." "What did you do?" asked Iris. "My aunt had to take me home in the middle of the night," he answered. "Oh," said Iris. "I hope that doesn't happen to me," she thought. Chapter 3, The Sleepover. Now, readers, so before we went on quarantine, I was noticing that a lot of you, when you were starting to do your partner reading, were beginning to act out scenes from your book, especially in the places where there wasn't a lot of talking happening. It almost sounded like you were taking on the role of your characters with one another and adding in some dialogue. And that is an amazing thing for readers to do. That shows that you are able to kind of do an extra job as a reader and invent your own dialogue for yourselves by doing some really big thinking. I bet that when you were doing those things during Reader's Workshop, you might have been kind of thinking to yourself, what might the character be saying or thinking right here? Or you might have thought, you know what, this is a special place where I can add in some more words that kind of add more to the story. And so I thought that when you're probably and hopefully doing that same amazing work at home, you might be interested in making a sort of dialogue tool. And this is what it looks like. I simply made it on a post-it. On one side I made a thinking bubble, and on the other side I made a speech bubble. And so I'm going to show you how I, as a reader, am going to use my special tool to add dialogue and thinking to places where I don't see a lot of it already happening. You can do this all by yourself. It's very simple to do. Or if you think that you might not need this tool but just want to do it on your own, go ahead and try it. Do you think you're ready to do that with me? Okay, so I'm going to read this page, and then I'm going to use my special tool to add some dialogue or thinking, because I can already tell by looking at the page that there's not a lot of dialogue within the words, but I definitely see places in the picture where I'm thinking that Iris is doing some talking with her sister. So are you ready? The Sleepover. Saturday afternoon, Iris packed her suitcase. She packed her cozy pajamas, she packed her favorite doll Pearl, and she packed her baby pillow so she wouldn't get homesick. Baby Rose watched from her crib. I'm thinking, readers, that this is a place where maybe Iris could do some extra talking. Just because from what I already know from reading Iris and Walter books, Iris is a character who loves talking to her little sister and kind of explaining why she's doing some things. So I think I'm going to add some extra dialogue on this page where Iris is explaining to Rosie why she's packing all these things. Ready? Saturday afternoon, Iris packed her suitcase. You see, Rosie, I'm thinking that if I pack in my pillow, I won't be homesick like Benny. She packed her cozy pajamas, she packed her favorite doll Pearl, she packed her baby pillow so she wouldn't get homesick. There, I think I'm not forgetting anything. Hopefully not, Rosie. And maybe Rosie could also do some talking, or babbling in this case. Did you see how I did that, readers? So I read the page and then I went back to look at the picture and did some thinking as to what Iris as a character probably would say based on what I already know about her from reading all the other books in this series. So I'm going to see if there are other places within this chapter where I can add in some dialogue or add in some extra thinking to places that don't already have a lot of it. You ready, readers? Now Rosie's... Oh, I'm going to go back and get a running start because I was going to, by accident, just like mix all those words together. I was going to just read them all up. And I forgot that there's commas right there where I need to do some pausing and break up my reading a little bit. Ready? Now, Rosie, said Iris, I'm not going to be here tonight because I'm sleeping over at Walter's. Remember? Baby Rose gave Iris a big smile. But Mama will still read a story, and Grandpa will sing a song, and Daddy will tuck you in, and when you're a big girl, you'll go on a sleepover too. Baby Rose said, bah, 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 bah. Even though, readers, this page already has a lot of dialogue, I'm thinking I can add just a tiny bit more to sort of add to the feelings that are probably being shared by these characters. Ready? Okay. Kiss, kiss, and good night, Rosie. I love you. Did you see how I did that, readers? I added some emotion by adding in some dialogue that I thought would reflect a little bit on the relationship between Rosie and Iris, because they really love each other. Okay, I'm ready to go to Walter's, said Iris. Have fun, my Iris, said Iris's mother. We'll see you tomorrow, said Iris's father. So long, everybody, said Iris. Grandpa and Iris drove over to Walter's. Come in, Iris, said Walter's father. Would you like some cookies? Asked Walter's mother. Let's go play, said Walter. Iris and Walter put on a puppet show. They rode Rain in their pajamas. They sat on the porch and watched the stars come out. Now, readers, this is a great place where we can add in some thinking or some dialogue, because there's not a lot of places where it's happening, especially on this page right here, but that are definitely really beautiful illustrations that make me want to add some dialogue and thinking. Ready? So I may, you know what, add in some thinking right here. I think I can add some thinking to what this cat might be thinking, just to make it a little bit funny for me. Ready? Iris and Walter put on a puppet show. What are those little crazy kids doing? Did you see how I did that? I added in some thinking just to make the story a little bit more fun. And I'm thinking right here I can add in some dialogue. Ready? They sat on the porch and watched the stars come out. Whoa! How many stars do you think are up there in the sky? I don't know. I bet we can count some of them, though. Did you see how I did that? Now, you yourself might have been coming up with some different things that these characters might have said in this page, and that's okay. What's really great about doing this kind of strategy in your reading is that you can be as creative as you want, especially since you're the one taking charge of this. You're the one kind of in charge of doing this big reading job. So let's keep reading and let's see if there are other places where we can do this kind of work. I think sleepovers are great, said Iris. I'm not homesick at all. We should have a sleepover every week, said Walter. Iris and Walter drank hot cocoa and shared the last cookie. Then Walter's mother said, It's getting late, kids. Time for bed. Iris thought about home. She wondered if Baby Rose was still awake and if Rosie missed her. Uh-oh, readers. I'm thinking that Benny started to feel homesick because he didn't have his pillow, but I'm making an inference, a prediction based on this page right here, that maybe Iris is going to start feeling homesick, not because of something that she forgot, but because of someone she really, really loves, her sister. That's just my prediction. That is my inference. I'm going to have to keep reading to find out. But I'm definitely thinking that there are places in the next chapter, in the next few pages, where I may be able to add some thinking and dialogue to support my inference and prediction. Ready? Walter's mother kissed Walter goodnight. Then she kissed Iris. "Good night. Sleep tight," said Walter's father. "I'm not sleepy. Are you?" asked Iris. "No," said Walter, yawning. Oh, I have to go back and make it sound like how the character would be talking. Ready? "No," said Walter, yawning. "Let's stay up all night," said Iris. "What do you want to do?" asked Walter. "Let's tell stories," said Iris. "Okay," said Walter. "You go first. I'll just get comfortable." Walter snuggled down into his sleeping bag. He was warm and cozy. Iris told Walter a long, long, long story. When she was finished, she said, "Now it's your turn, Walter." "Walter?" But there was no sound. "Walter," whispered Iris, "it's your turn to tell a story." But Walter was fast asleep. Home, sweet home. It was very quiet on the porch. Iris hugged Pearl close. She tried to get comfortable. Suddenly, Iris felt all alone. She missed her mother's stories. She missed Grandpa's songs. She missed the way her father tucked her in and kissed her goodnight. She missed sleeping in her own room, in her own bed, with her own baby sister close by. Readers, that sort of reminds me of something that Benny said earlier. "Walter?" Iris whispered in the dark. "Walter, wake up!" Iris gave Walter a little shake. "Huh?" said Walter. "Walter," said Iris. "I think I want to go home." Readers, I'm thinking this is a great place right here where Iris is looking like she's feeling really, really sad, where I can add in some thinking to match the way she's feeling. But before I do, I want you to take a moment to think for yourself, what words might you add inside of this thinking bubble? What sort of feelings do you want to express? If it were your choice, if it were your reading, what do you think you might add on this page? Ready? Do some thinking. Three, two, one. Now, again, your thinking might be different from my thinking, and that's okay. Remember, when we're doing this kind of work, it's amazing how creative we can get with this talking tool. But let's see if maybe your thinking matches mine or resembles mine, even in the slightest. Ready? She missed the way her father tucked her in and kissed her goodnight. She missed sleeping in her own room, in her own bed, with her own baby sister close by. I think I want to go home. I was excited, but I think I miss my mom. I want to go home. I wonder if Walter might be mad. Did you see how I did that, readers? I added in some thinking that I thought might be going through Iris's mind, and also added in a little bit of thinking that kind of reflected a little bit on her relationship with Walter. Because I'm thinking that as a character, Iris really loves her best friend Walter, and so even though she misses her family, she might also be thinking about how Walter would feel if she went home. So that's why I added in that part about maybe her being worried that Walter might be mad if she went home. Ready? Let's keep reading. Walter? Iris whispered in the dark. Walter, wake up. Iris gave Walter a little shake. Huh? Said Walter. Walter, said Iris, I think I want to go home. You do? Walter asked. Why? I'm homesick, said Iris, and she started to cry. Gosh, said Walter. He went to get his mother. I'm thinking, readers, this is another place where I can do some thinking. Ready? Gosh, said Walter. Wow, I didn't know she was that upset. I better get Mom. Did you see how I did that, readers? Not only did I add some thinking that again reflected a little bit on the relationship these two characters have, I also kind of added in some thinking that supported the following line about how he said he went to get his mother. Okay, I'm going to keep on reading. Iris, honey, are you sure you want to go home? Asked Walter's mother. Yes, I'm sure, said Iris. It's okay. We'll take you home, said Walter's mother. You can sleep over another time. Right, Walter? Sure, said Walter. Iris packed her suitcase and climbed into the car. We're going home now, Pearl, she whispered. Oh, I better go back and make it match. We're going home now, Pearl, she whispered. The drive seemed to take forever. But when she arrived, everyone was waiting. Welcome home, said Iris's father. How about a hug? Asked Iris's mother. Why, Iris, you've grown, said Grandpa. Iris laughed and hugged them all. Then she went into her own room and climbed into her own bed. Her own baby Rose was fast asleep close by. Iris's mother kissed Iris good night. I'll sleep over at Walter's another time, said Iris, yawning. Again, I did it again, readers. Have to go back and make it match. Ready? I'll sleep over at Walter's another time, said Iris, yawning. Of course you will, said her mother, and she did. The end. Now, readers, if you are a reader who is ready to use this kind of tool in your reading, where when you're reading your book, you want to add in some dialogue or some thinking, maybe this is something that might help you remember to practice that skill. If you're not, then that's just fine. Just remember that as you're reading, it's very important, even if you're not adding in dialogue, to always be thinking about what is happening in the story. Okay, well, thank you for reading with me today. I can't wait to read with you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.